Away we go then.
Well, my multi-platform production product is for just a cathedral, and here's a few images. Sort of the outside, there's one of the inside, just to show what it looks like. And the main aim and objective was to create a multi-platform product that would inform multilingual tourists about different points in the cathedral, which would be available to them on handheld devices and desktop devices such as smartphones, tablets and computers. To begin with, I sort of started to develop ideas, and three forms of multi-platform pieces of equipment were looked at, including RFID tags, QR codes and SDK technology. And for each multi-platform thing, I looked at the strengths and weaknesses. The strengths of the QR codes I found was that they're easy to create, they don't cost much to generate, and they can be stylized to the clients and users' needs. But the weaknesses are that they need a QR code scanner, which is needed to be downloaded on smartphones, which could then need an internet connection to do so. Then I looked at the RFID tags, and the strength was that they're a more interactive way of interacting with the information, and it's difficult for the information to be placed and replicated. And the weaknesses are they're quite costly to set up, and they would be difficult to code. They'd be difficult to code really. I then looked at the SDK technology, and I found that if I made one, they'd be easy to navigate around, and there'll be an alternative resource for the information that the website would have. And the weaknesses really would kind of be similar to the RFID tags, where it'd be difficult to make and code correctly and make it all work in sync. I then looked at the legal and ethical considerations, and the ethical consideration would be the copyrighted material, where I'd have to get permission from the cathedral before I made the products by using their artifacts and maybe pictures and names and whatever in there. Then I looked at the web accessibility, which then takes into consideration the people that will be using it, like blind people and sort of disabled people who want to interact with it. This then led on to the client audience and target audience needs, where the client would be Chichester Cathedral, but then the audience would be everyone really, from all age groups, who go and visit the cathedral and want to gain more information out of it. So the multi-platform product would help give them information about different points within the cathedral, as well as teaching them about the different points in the cathedral. I then looked at three different sort of churches and cathedrals around the world who are online and show different ways of presenting their church or cathedral. And the first one I looked at was Winchester Cathedral, and on this website there's a floor plan, and the floor plan is interactive, and each of the red dots are a different point within the cathedral which is important that they think. And also above it there's a pan of the whole cathedral which shows what it looks like inside, which just shows, it's sort of just a floor plan really. The next one was the Cathedral of Aurora, I think it's called, in Portugal. And this one's a lot more interactive, as it shows the whole cathedral up and down and side to side. It also goes outside and explores the other bits outside the cathedral, as well as showing the landscape of the area as well. So, yeah, looks quite cool. I then looked at one in Australia, the Melbourne Parish Church. This one's a bit boring really, it's kind of like the Winchester Cathedral where it's just panning and doesn't really offer much, but it does use QR codes a little bit, but I haven't really included that in it. It uses QR codes to give the tourists the relevant information about the church, whether it's from the events or times and things that be open. This then led on to cathedral research, where I went in and actually got some different leaflets. That's an English one there. There's a German one. There's a French one. This would then give me information to actually include within the website to form points of interest, really, as it offers a floor plan in the middle, and either side of the floor plan there's different sort of information about the artefacts which I would ideally want to include. So by already having multilingual leaflets in place, it shows that the cathedral already takes into consideration tourists from other countries. But I've only chosen German, French and English to start off with, but there's several. The techniques and technology I've chosen is QR codes as the main way to interact with the product, as it was found that they were easier to make and use and cheaper. And it will direct them to an interactive page about the cathedral, the different points in the cathedral that they're in. So there'll be QR codes dotted all over the place using the leaflet's floor plan. And the site would probably be made in Flash so I can arrange it all easier, if that makes sense. The justification was made to choose which platforms I make it for. So I looked at a couple of graphs to show which operating system is most frequently used, and it showed that the one for the iPhone is popular, as well as then looking at the two smartphones which are the top ones at the moment in time, and the graph on the right showed that the iPhone is the most popular, just with the Galaxy S3 second. So it was decided that the site would be available on the iPhone and iPad and the computer as well. And then I sort of got some mock-ups together to show what it would sort of look like, and sort of show you the process I went through. So the first thing I created was a sitemap, sort of, I'll tell you in a little bit. And it sort of shows how the user would navigate around it. So with 4 or 5 different points, main points, which would be about, zones, events, visiting and contact. I chose to break the cathedral up into zones as that was found more effective way of sorting out all the different information, and instead of having it all just there'd be different zones that it would be shown in. And I'd also have a tab about the cathedral, which would then direct the user to history and information about the cathedral, as well as events, which would obviously show what's coming up and what's going on down there. And as well as contacting and how to get there and where it is and all the useful sort of information. But then I decided to stylise my QR code as different, as there would be 3 different ones, so it might be a bit confusing to the user to decide which one is in their language. So I put the England flag behind the English one, I put the German flag behind the German one, and the French flag behind the French flag. And this would make it more simple for the user, instead of scanning all of them to find the one in their relevant language. Then this then led to some mock-ups of how the design would look, and this is just a basic one. It shows how the floor plan would be broken up into zones, where there's 5 zones there, and then this is the first zone, and it's got numbered with all the different points of interest in that zone. So it clearly identifies which part's which, and makes it sort of easier for the user to navigate around. And this sort of led to a sort of final mock-up of how the final thing would look, with an image of the cathedral either side as a home page, with the welcome information and walking around cathedral information, and that's all part of the leaflet. So it sort of turns into an interactive online leaflet in a way. And this is how the first zone would look, as it's sort of taken from the basic design, but it's included the full picture of the cathedral floor zone, so they can go back or select a different zone if they needed. And also created some multilingual ones. This is the French one. So it's a French, I took that off the French leaflet, and I included the QR code up in the top there to show that it's the French version. And there it is again. And I created a German one, same as the French one really, and the English one, but in a different language. Same again. That's about it. Questions?
Great. Thanks, Luke. Well done. Not really a question, just a point I want to raise. And putting those kind of tints of flags behind the QR code doesn't stop the reading.
No, I did scan it, but the URL's run out now, or just doesn't work anymore. But it worked the first time I tried it.
Right, so when you actually
work, yeah.
test it, it works,
Yeah.
does it? Okay. Anyone else like to comment? Yes, Ben.
Same as on Venetia's, how are you going to implement the QR codes inside the actual physical church, cathedral?
Just like place them like next to each other, just above in the zones there's different numbers, and where that artifact or point of interest is, there'd be a QR code around there.
Right. I
How
think
would it be secured?
Yeah, I think Ben's asking how would it be secured.
I don't know if I probably wouldn't put it onto the wall. I don't know, maybe stick it on a sort of sign or
Yeah, I mean it could
on
be
the
a
floor or something.
standalone concrete base sign or whatever. Something that can be easily moved.
Yeah.
I would have thought. I think that's the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to
No.
interfere with.
Well, yeah, it's a historic building, and I'm sure that other cathedrals, it'd be interesting to see how they implement or where they put their QR codes, so they're relatively secure, but at the same time don't interfere with the structure of the building, so to speak. Maybe a point of further research just to find out how other historic buildings do that. Any other comments? Okay.
I was just wondering, has anybody, or have you considered using GPS? Maybe it's a thing. I mean, I can't imagine that people aren't, dying to get access to GPS through Google or Google Maps or whatever it is. And I've used, sat-nav on my phone all the time. And I'm always really, really impressed when I get to my location and it chucks me a picture of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, wow, I can't believe it. Like that's, 10 years ago that was totally unfathomable. And it's almost spooky in the fact that it's like, right, but it's sunny in the picture and it's rainy today. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of thing. I mean, is there any other technologies? Well, that you could possibly use?
Off the top of my head. Don't know.
That would make it more relevant than me just picking one of these up.
Well, it'd be on your phone.
Okay. What's the advantage?
You can put it in your pocket.
Okay.
But
I can put that in my pocket.
Yeah, but you have to fold it.
Right. Okay.
I'll probably have to think about that a bit more. Make it.
Maybe it's a comment that I can put out to everybody, but
Yeah.
if it was me, I'd go to the cathedral and I'd go, what kind of unique experience am I trying to give across to the people into, actually participating in this? One thing that came up in my head as we were looking at the presentations was, wouldn't it be interesting if I had like a picture, a photo of a part of the cathedral, and it was like a suggestion about line this up and get your friend or something to take a picture in that, and you can make a calendar and we'll email it to you. You can print it out or something later. Or something that I can either take away or want to participate in, rather than just a map.
Doesn't sound feasible though. Us, I don't feel that I could make someone.
Remember,
GPS.
yeah, but remember, you've got to build something as a prototype to demonstrate how it will work.
But even demonstrating.
But the investigation into QR codes and things like that hasn't taken you guys very long.
So it wouldn't.
I mean, there were
take long to
basic
work
summaries. It wouldn't take that long to, when I started web designing and I wanted to look at stats, it didn't take me very long to realize that I can just chuck in a bit of code that will link my site to Google Stats, and I get tons sent down to me. But at the beginning, it seemed really, really complex to analyze. You guys aren't the only people implementing this kind of technology. There is so much available out there. Your presentation is produced through the technology created by another company. You've used it, effectively, but I'm sure that there's loads of other things out there exactly like that. There must be other people using GPS. I think GPS is a really, really exciting one, because you guys are talking about locations within the cathedral.
I must admit though, Dan, just on a side point, I gave them 3.
Yeah, okay.
I gave them 3, so it was up to them to sort of expand and try and find any alternative.
Yeah.
And I didn't explain that GPS was an option.
Yeah.
Yes, Russell.
This is different from what you were talking about, though. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if you mentioned it about use of video and audio.
I wouldn't include video, but I'd explore audio by just saying what's being seen on screen. Really. Just to them.
Maybe one way of incorporating audio is to, have sounds and things that you won't hear when you're there because they're part of some sort of tradition or worship or cultural event that takes place.
It might sound a bit irrelevant when I start explaining it, but Moonpig has an option. If you send someone a card, it's got a code, and I think you can hold your phone over it and then it'll display a video or something, or maybe it might be a picture or something,
Oh,
and then the video
right.
will start playing.
So the card itself is interactive
Yeah,
by way of a
Fine.
QR code.
yeah, or some kind of.
Yeah, they have. Is that the augmented reality they have?
It's augmented.
They have.
Okay, I'm conscious of the time, so just at this point, I just want to see if everyone's happy to